This is the Tree of Life, Season 12, Chapter 2. In this episode, we will be talking rational expectation theory, bringing into the discussion the last episode. To start off, the resumption of time parsimony at the conclusion of a substitution event is associated with a return to expectation matching. That is to say, that individual behavior, post-substitution, returns to a state where it reflects the expectations of the conjoined consensuality. This means that when the actor is within the dissonant space, corresponding to the convoluted path, expectations of behavior are only valid predictions retrospectively, upon resumption of time parsimony. We know likewise that the conjoined consensuality preserves the limitless time associated with all those descending paths, through the causal reordering represented by each lower path into the higher. This means that as far as the conjoined consensuality is concerned, there is perfect information about every individual actor, even those who remember path parsimony. From this, we can see that rational expectation theory of economics follows from this accordion-like causal reordering associated with a sequence of substitution events. In that, rational expectation theory presumes that the expected equilibrium will not differ substantially from the actual equilibrium, because individuals are making predictions based upon all available information. In other words, whereas rational expectation theory presumes a conventionality, which is likely impossible, the causal reordering represented by the resumption of time parsimony explains this apparent effect. Likewise, since we see that during a dissonant space, an individual's action is not predicted according to the expectations of the conjoined consensuality, we can say that the verbalizations associated with sublimation represent an information shock. This is a point at which the predicted equilibrium differs systematically, or regularly from the actual equilibrium, through the migration of a dissonant space linearly. Finally, we see that since descending intersections between persons A and B, in our example of the last episode, become dispersed amongst actors C, D, E, F, G, etc. corresponding to distinct objects and impulses through the formation of hybrid structures corresponding to A, B, and X, where X is some letter after B. But, we can say that not every intersection between A and B is related to an exchange. This means that there will be some paths corresponding to intersections between A and B, which are not distributed through this process. What are these paths? They are relational paths as opposed to transactional. Paths for A, corresponding to exchanges with B, can be transferred to some letter X, when they are transactional relative to some pair of objects and corresponding impulses. But in the absence of an exchange, these paths are relational, that is, they cannot be easily transposed from person B to person X via displacement mirroring. That's the end of the podcast for today.